it's not too big and you can easily see nature. And so where I live also, you can easily see nature, and here's the tree right here. Yeah, and the birds can sit there. The first thing I hear when I go somewhere are the birds, and I note the different sounding birds. And in particular, the crows here have a different sound. Have you noticed that when you travel places, the birds sound different? So the crows here have, for me, a really beautiful sound. And they can imitate other birds. So where I live, the crows are very noisy. It's not pleasant to hear. So I like to come to Vancouver to hear crows, if nothing else. And so yes, you're very fortunate to have the nature, because we are a part of nature, and yoga is a part of nature. Yeah? We think yoga means doing postures and fancy postures, and I should have brought this beautiful book that Erica has at home, 2,100 asana postures. 2,100. So if you get bored with the asana that you're practicing now, you can look for this book, 2001 asana. And I don't know if you have this in Vancouver, but people must be getting bored with yoga in Australia, because now you have beer yoga, you have gin yoga, you have vodka yoga.
Formulations. There is goat yoga.
Goat yoga, that's what I'm saying. People are getting bored with yoga. They've had the goat yoga, the chocolate yoga. 4 years ago when I was in Cleveland, in Ohio, I went past a chocolate yoga studio. So I was thinking, people are getting bored with yoga, so they're thinking up all these different types of yoga. But is it really yoga? So we will talk about what yoga really is when we get started. And so, is anyone new to yoga here? So, have you done yoga postures? When I first learnt yoga, we did what I commonly know as the 10 major yoga poses. So for example, you might be laying on your abdomen and you lift your head and chest. We call that cobra pose. It's good for people with asthma. It opens out the chest. It gives you a little bit of backward bending, so you squeeze the nerve plexi along the spine, the adrenal area, the kidney area. When you release, you feel more energy in your body. Yeah? And so this is what I mean by more major yoga pose. And then I discovered what's called the Satyananda yoga system. It's named after my teacher, Swami Muktibodhananda. And I was 12 years old. I'd been doing ballet, and we started learning this, wrist rotations. I've got to even out on the other side. I'll demonstrate. We did feet rotations. We did shoulder rotations, and I'm thinking, boring, because, of my age. However, now at this age, I really realise the benefit of it, and I also realise that yoga can be for anyone. And now that they've got vodka yoga, well, definitely you can take it to Russia. Did you want to start, Erica? Or did you want to wait a little bit?
It seems that some people are at the other door and there's a bit of confusion. So Forrest just gone down to put a sign. So if you're okay to just continue
chatting,
rambling for a while.
Chatting.
If you don't mind, just be patient, because we think there's other people that are trying to come in. Don't worry, it's Thank you.
Yeah. So sounds like we've turned off the air conditioning. Is everyone all right with that? Yeah. If anyone gets too hot, just let us know.
Sounds like a kettle or something. Oh, it's going to turn off in a moment, huh?
I just said it. I heard, this side of the air conditioning's gone off. So is that right, Christine? This side of the air conditioning's off?
Yeah, we turn it off because we couldn't hear very well.
Oh, it's
But
too
if
late.
you want, we turn it on.
So it's all right. People said they're happy.
Better to hear
temperatures.
it.
Okay.
I think it's going to get pretty hot.
Yeah. So I have another suggestion. Everyone's very spread out. How about we come closer? We turn the air conditioning on and then see if you can hear me easily.
Can you go closer? Okay. Well, even closer because it's hard to hear. There. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Yes, that's good. Thanks.
Very good. So I lived in India for a long time. Who's been to India? Yeah. So, little from India.
And I have been to Bihar too.
Ah, have you?
Yeah.
Which part of India are you from originally?
I was born and brought up in Burma, but I lived in India in various parts,
okay.
especially Mumbai.
Mumbai, yes. So those who've been to India or Africa, or I don't know, maybe China, everything's packed in.
Yeah.
You don't have personal
This one we
space.
will have like 200 people
Yeah,
sitting there.
exactly. So if you feel you're too close, then you can spread out, of course. So we're together for an hour and a bit, and anytime you need to use the bathroom, just be aware that you need to turn the key and the door is heavy. So, yeah, good for muscle building. So my method is to give you some theory and talk about a particular subject, and then we do some practice. This is important to practice. Even if you've never done yoga before, you'll find that the practice that I'm giving you is very easy. Shall we start now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Namaste, all of you. I want to thank all of you so much for the choice that you've made to be here tonight to be present for Swami Muktibodhananda Saraswati's Vancouver public talk, Yoga of the Inner Hidden Things. For those of you that don't know me, and there actually are a few people here, I'm shocked, that don't know me, my name is Erica Pinsky, and it is my supreme honor to be able to introduce Swami Muktibodhananda tonight and to tell you a little bit about her. In Swami Mukti's previous life, she was Gabrielle Grace, born in Melbourne, Australia. She had an early calling to yoga at age 12. At 17, she left for India to spend 10 years at the feet of her mentor and guru, Paramhansa Swami Satyananda Saraswati, a direct disciple of Swami Shivananda of Rishikesh. Gabrielle was initiated into the Saraswati order of sannyasa renunciation, dedicating her life to the teaching and practice of all aspects of yoga. Since 1977, she has been known as Swami Muktibodhananda Saraswati. Swamiji was given the title Yogacharya, Yoga Authority, from Paramhansa Swami Niranjan Ananda in 1993. And don't cringe if I'm mispronouncing things. Swami Muktibodhananda was inspired to distill the yogic knowledge and experiences she gained in India into 3 extraordinary books. And if you're interested in any of these books, After the talk, we have some for sale here tonight. Her first book, Swada Yoga, The Tantric Science of Brain Breathing, is suitable for anyone interested in understanding the subtleties of what it means to breathe in the right, left, and both nostrils in relation to the environment. Her second publication, Hatha Yoga Pradikipha, Light on Hatha Yoga, consists of a thorough commentary on each Sanskrit verse with English translation. It is the most widely used modern English version of the original 15th century Hatha Yoga Pradikipha, written by Yogi Swami Atmarama, considered as a yoga Bible of this science. Swamiji's third book, Energy, the Spark of Life and Universal Goddess, is an eminently practical guide to the sometimes mystifying and esoteric practices of yoga. Please help me welcome Swami Muktibodhananda Saraswati.
So wonderful to be here with everyone. And in yoga, we chant Om. So some of you may not be familiar with Om, but mainly everybody is familiar with Om. And this is the sound of the universe vibrating. If we could hear it, if our hearing was subtle enough, we would hear this sound. So we chant Om to tune into the energy of the universe, to become one with that energy. And so we'll chant this evening 3 Oms. If it's something that feels a little bit unusual for you, you don't need to do that. You can just feel the vibration. So the sound is A, U, M. And if we write it in English, it's A-U-M. Often in books you see it written O-M, but it's not Om, it's Om. Okay, so when we chant the Om, we feel the sound moving from the throat, through the sinuses, going up into the forehead. And researchers have done research on the effects of chanting Om and on the effects of humming. The sound is like humming. So this is very beneficial for the body, the brain, and activating the vagus nerve, which calms the system. So we'll just do this 3 times. Come in. And we will, if you know this chant with me. It is an intention of harmony between us all. And it starts Om Sahana Vavatu. And if you don't know this chant, you can think for a few moments what harmony between us means for you. So chanting of Om followed by the intention of harmony. Sitting comfortably, feeling the body's position, closing the eyes. Yoga starts with awareness, and here we are being aware of the body, the sensations in the body, the breath moving effortlessly. And then slowly inhaling. And I will talk to you about yoga of the hidden things. So what I find these days is that when people start yoga in the West, it's for more superficial reasons, and I'm generalising, which can sometimes be a dangerous thing to do, but as I was saying before, how now we have gin yoga and beer yoga and vodka yoga. People are thinking externally, not realising that actually yoga is always about the hidden things, the hidden agendas, and the inner us, and I'm pointing to my heart centre here, the inner being, which is light, and our effulgence comes from the heart space. The heart is beating. This creates energy, vibration. Where there's energy and vibration, there is light. This is the major hidden thing within us, our inner light. And so, how do we practice yoga for this inner being? We need to go through the body, the mind, and the emotions to understand that, to feel it, to be able to express it. And so, when I first started doing yoga, it was because I wanted to give up classical ballet. And my mother said, oh, well, you have to do something, you have to do some exercise. You see, people think of it as exercise. This is back in 1972. And so I was looking, what can I do instead? And where I was living, I found there was flamenco dance and there was yoga. And I thought, my hands and feet are not going to coordinate. The castanets and the beating of the feet, I think my hands would be doing one thing and my feet would be doing the other thing. So I chose yoga. But what I discovered was it wasn't something physical. It was actually yoga of the hidden things. Because ever since I was a child, I used to get very serious tonsillitis. Did anyone else used to get tonsillitis as a child? Yeah. And so, did you have your tonsils out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I waited till I was 14 to get mine out, or maybe it was 13, but round then. Yeah. My mother put me on hold for some reason with the tonsillectomy. And so what I noticed as a child was that I would get tonsillitis when I was really emotional. I didn't know how to express my emotions, so I would suppress them, and I knew how to do tonsillitis. Because the energy's got to be expressed in some way. Energy can't just be still. At a certain point, it's got to move. So as an example, you sleep at night and your body is still, but you wake up in the morning and you've got to get up. Maybe it's to go to the bathroom, but eventually you'll get sick of lying in bed. Unless you're my 22-year-old son. He does a lot of lying in the bed. Must be a young man's thing. Is it, Roberto? Young man's thing, lying in bed. So the energy has to move. Yeah. And so it, for me, it went into expressing through tonsillitis. And I was aware of that as a child, but I didn't know what else to do. First of all, as a child, you don't have the language. Secondly, you may not even know what it is. And then even if you know what it is and you do have the language, it takes guts to talk about something, doesn't it? It takes courage. It takes courage to express yourself. So I kept getting tonsillitis and eventually I had my tonsils out. But what I found was when I did yoga at this particular yoga school, they not only taught the asana postures and the pranayama breathing, they also did a form of meditation, a yoga nidra. It was short, it was for 10 minutes, but that was one of those aha moments. What do people do these days? Yes. It was one of those moments, my first yoga nidra, and that's what sold me. That's actually why I kept doing yoga. The physical aspect, I thought, well, yeah, I can get that through ballet. Yoga nidra, the meditation, awoke my awareness to something greater. And that's where yoga of the hidden things starts, when you become aware. What do you become aware of? You might become aware that there are things about yourself you don't like. So for example, I had a lady come to a beginner's yoga class, and it was a big class, and afterwards, it was her first class. I was grateful that she came up and expressed herself. She said, "I'm not coming back, yoga makes me angry." But because it was a big class and I didn't have the facility to invite her to talk about this, I had to let that one go. Yoga made her angry. She must have realised something about herself, even if it was to be angry. But she must have realised at a deep level that something in her life was out of balance, that she wasn't expressing herself in a way that she really wanted to, coming from her true self. And because of the unbalance in her life, she was feeling angry. Of course, it wasn't the yoga that made her feel angry, but it meant that she had to address that. And so rather than address it, I'm not going back to yoga. Do you see? So these are the hidden things within us. And as we practice yoga, even if it is only the asana postures, we will realise things about ourselves. And it's our choice whether we deal with it or we don't deal with it. It takes courage to deal with these things, because it means we have to take responsibility for ourselves. And sometimes we don't want to. Sometimes we want to say it's the other person's fault. There are 3 behaviours that everyone does, and when you watch the politicians talking at question time, like in Australia we have the government station and we can watch, it's called question time, you must have it here too. You watch the politicians talking, they all do these 3 behaviours very overtly. One is to blame other people, or to criticise, to blame and criticise. So not taking responsibility for a situation, it's somebody else's fault. Mind you, I do blame politicians. There's no politicians here, are there? Sorry, excuse me. So, you know, the other thing is then the other behaviour is want to fix a situation, to fix a person, to rescue the other person. There's a big difference between assisting, giving information, or rescuing. Can you understand the difference? And it's all in the perception, it's all in your motive. I enjoy assisting, but I don't rescue people. I don't fix people's problems. But you can discuss things with me and we can sort something out. Maybe when I was younger I did rescuing, but I don't these days. And in one of my classes I was giving information to a particular lady, and she said, "You can't rescue me." I said, "I have no intention, but I'm offering some information if you choose to hear it." Yeah. So even the other person can misperceive what is on offer there. third behaviour is that we feel we're a victim of a circumstance. When we feel we are a victim of a situation or a circumstance, we draw to us the person who wants to rescue us. We draw to us the person who wants to blame and criticise us and say it's your fault you're in that situation. So it's actually a position of great power, being the victim. This is called the drama triangle. You use it in counselling. And so it all stems from, in yoga, the centre of our vital physical energy source at the navel. The navel centre is the seat of your vital physical energy. Just as your digestive system gives you physical energy, the source of our physical power, but it's also the source of where we try to control our circumstances and other people. So the symbol in yoga is an inverted red triangle. This is the archetypal symbol of this centre. And each of these three behaviours that I was describing are like the corner of the triangle, the point of the triangle. Everybody does this because we are unaware and we don't know what else to do. We don't know what we don't know. So we do these behaviours automatically. When you become aware of yourself, when you see yourself doing these behaviours, then you say, what else can I do? So you become proactive, you start taking responsibility. Yoga of the hidden things is about becoming aware and taking responsibility of yourself. Knowing that you actually do have a choice. So my friend in Australia, in the centre of Australia, the area is called Alice Springs. Has anyone been to Australia? Yeah? Have you been to Alice Springs?
Not yet. I would love to.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. It's like the heart of the country. The land is very different. And you know when you go places and you feel something in the soil and the environment and the nature talks to you? Do you find that when you go to certain places, that some places speak to you more than others? Yeah. So for me, Alice Springs is like that, and it talks to me and tells me things, which is very interesting. So my friend is a counsellor there, and the Indigenous people have a lot of alcohol problems, and my friend was counselling and an Indigenous person who had been held at gunpoint, so she had some serious issues to deal with. But she survived the circumstance, and so my friend was talking to her about how she survived the circumstance, and she said, well, you made a choice to live. You made a choice to fight. And my friend said, the other person said, well, what else could I have done? So she wasn't seeing that she made that choice. My friend said, well, you could have laid down and died. So we always have two choices in a situation. When we say we don't have a choice, it really means that I don't like the alternate choice. That's what we're really saying to ourselves. So become aware that you are making choices in life. Just as you made a choice to come here this evening, just as you make a choice of the food that you eat, just as you make a choice to go to the bathroom even. And sometimes we're busy with our work and we choose not to go to the bathroom. Yeah? You know that one? I'll just finish this. And then by the time you make the choice to go to the bathroom, you're running. And you would say, well, I had to. Well, the other choice wouldn't look good, but therein is still a choice. Yeah. Yoga of the hidden things is about understanding the mind and the emotions and how to manage these. We need to be willing and honest with ourselves. So what we find is that when we read some of the ancient yoga texts, we're given guidelines, and one of the guidelines in various different texts is honesty, the yoga of honesty. Now, when we see that, sometimes we see it written as being truthfulness. So with the Western mind, we think, oh, that means if someone asks me, do you like my dress, and I don't like it, I have to say no. That's not what it means. Being truthful means being truthful to yourself. Quite often we make excuses to ourselves about something. Is that ringing a bell? We make excuses of why we're not doing something or why we want to do something. But when we really look at it, we're actually not being truthful to ourselves about that. We're not really asking ourselves, what is it that I really want or need, or what is the best thing for me? We make excuses and we tell the other person an excuse. We might say, oh, I'm not feeling very well, so I can't go with you today. But that's not the truth of the situation. How do we speak our truth in a diplomatic way? I believe in diplomacy. But I also believe in honesty. How do we move forward in life, fulfill our needs that are healthy for us in honesty? We all have to find the words for ourselves. So no one else can give us those words. They need to come from within us. They need to sit well within us. This in itself can be a meditation where we're in a situation and we don't know what to say. I'm not talking about when you're caught in the moment and you've got to give an answer, but when there is something that is ongoing in your life and people keep asking you to do things that you feel are not necessary for you, not healthy for you. It's something that you can contemplate on. You can use that as a form of meditation and ask yourself, what is it that I truly want? What is the best for me? It's not about being selfish. It's about sustaining yourself. We need to sustain ourselves in the world, because if we continually do things that are not appropriate for us, we end up getting very sick. As I did with my tonsillitis. I was actually doing that to myself. I didn't have my words. I couldn't speak my truth. It's not always easy to speak your truth. But you need to speak your truth to yourself. This is important. Yeah. In yoga, we talk about the 4 objectives of human existence. So I'm going to use some Sanskrit words here. The language of yoga is very ancient, an ancient language called Sanskrit. And many languages have their roots in Sanskrit. So the first of these objectives of human existence is to achieve sensual experience. And the word is karma. You've heard of the Kama Sutras? Yeah, the Kama Sutras, if you haven't heard of them, is a book explaining about how to have successful sexual relations in intimate detail. Yeah. And so the word karma means more than sexual experience. It means sensual. And sexual experience is part of that, but of course that sells in the West, doesn't it? So you say the word sex and you've got everyone's ear. The Kama Sutra is a book that was written many thousands of years ago. People in ancient times understood many things. They weren't just cavemen with a club and wearing animal skins. Yeah. Thousands of years ago, there were some highly evolved and intelligent people. And so the word karma, sensual experience, means that we as human beings are striving to have that experience, and it's important to have sensual experience so that you understand the world, you understand your relationship with the world. Yeah, you put your hand on something hot and you go, I'm not doing that again, I burnt myself. Yeah? So this is important. And through this sensual experience, the nervous system is activated, so energy is transferred through your body. It creates connection in the brain. So when we do asana postures, for example, we are having a sensual experience. We do a spinal twist, connecting hand to the opposite side of the body, connecting the brain hemispheres. This sensual experience is connecting the brain. It's important. And we strive to have that experience. I was watching a program on television many years ago where people who were deprived of certain sensual experiences did things to their bodies so that they could have a fuller experience. For example, there was one young man who was unable to see colour. So he had an antenna inserted into his brain and he could feel the vibration of that colour through the antenna. So he was describing to people what colours they were wearing through the vibration that he was feeling in his body via the antenna into his brain. Yeah, so he walked around the world with this antenna. Then there were people who wanted to enhance their sensory experience, not because they lacked, but because they wanted more. Yeah, some people go to McDonald's again and again and again because they want more of that experience. But these people had things implanted in their brain to have more of whatever that experience was. And people have money, we can do that these days. In yoga, what we do is we understand that this is important, it is a drive, but we learn to observe. Because we understand in yoga that the sensual experience, while it's generated through the sense organs, feeling, smelling, tasting, seeing, hearing. What did I miss out? Feeling, I said feeling. Taste, thank you. I knew there was something I left out. Tasting. So we understand this is important. However, we actually experience it directly in the mind. What do I mean by that? When you have a dream at night, and you're dreaming of flying. Has anyone not dreamt of flying? So everyone has had the dream of flying, and you felt what that experience was like. But were you really flying? Your body was not flying, it was flat on the bed. And so this is why I'm saying the brain itself can experience the senses through its own source. It actually doesn't need the body. Yeah. And the researchers have done this with athletes. This research was done in America where the athlete was hooked up to, I don't know what sort of machinery. Does anyone know? Does anyone know the tests I'm talking about? Anyway, the athlete was hooked up so that the researchers could see what was occurring in the body, and the athlete mentally ran the race, thinking of winning, of course, that was the aim, but was mentally running the race. And with all the electrodes on the body, the researchers found that their thigh muscles were actually firing. But the person was sitting there just using their mind to run the race. Yeah. And so in yoga we do this. We use the power of the mind to have experiences in order to understand what our needs are, what it is we want, what is important to us, and to evolve through and from the negative experiences that are stored. We've all got negative experiences stored, all sorts of negative experiences. And so this is why we found that meditation, particularly the yoga nidra that we will do, is important for people with PTSD, because that post-traumatic stress disorder, it helps people deal with their stresses. This is yoga of the hidden things. And to change the mindset, to let go, to deeply let go. Letting go of the superimpositions, the things that have happened to us in life are superimposed on the mind. When a baby's born, it has this clean slate, and then the impressions of life superimpose on the mind. Some of these impressions are healthy impressions, and some of them can be detrimental. And some of the impressions inhibit us in different ways. But we can make the choice to turn that around. In Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, Patanjali lived around the time of Buddha, 2,500 years ago. And in his book, the Yoga Sutras, which is very concisely written, he said, think the opposite thought. Now, what does that mean? And how do we do it? So I was thinking, what does think the opposite thought mean? And I decided that it doesn't literally mean if I'm feeling sad, I'll just think I'm happy and I'll be happy. That doesn't work, does it? But why am I feeling unhappy? Because I've seen something that doesn't agree with what I want to see. Yeah, the external picture I'm seeing is not matching up with the picture I have in my mind. We all have pictures in our mind of how we want situations to be, how we want people to be, but the external may not be matching. So then we have a reaction to that. Happiness, sadness, we might get angry, we might try to control the other person to make them be like the picture in our mind. Yeah? And so I was thinking, just by thinking I'm happy, I'm not going to be happy. I need to conjure up the emotion. I need to connect in with the emotion. I need to use another picture to superimpose on what I'm actually seeing, to assist me getting through a situation. It might be to dissolve mentally the negative image that you're seeing that's inhibiting you. Or it might be just to bring up a simple happy memory. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about, and I might have spoken of this before to some of you. So when I was a little girl, I didn't have many clothes. I had, because the weather in Melbourne is quite similar to here, most of the time it's cooler, so you don't need many clothes. You have a jumper and you have your shoes, and I had a pair of stockings and a skirt, and then I had my dress for Sunday school, and in my day it was patent leather shoes. Did you do patent leather shoes here? And so I'd open up my wardrobe to go to school, and there was only one thing to wear, and I'd be thinking, crying, I don't have any clothes to wear. And then as a teenager I learnt to sew, so I had a few more clothes. Then I went to India, and the weather's hot all the time. It was hot. And living in a yoga ashram, all we needed was a sarong and a shirt, and just wash them, hang them on the line. So basically, you really only need, we had, they're called dhoti. We had 3 sarongs and 2 shirts. So I didn't need much. I wasn't going out night clubbing. I wasn't going anywhere in particular where I needed fancy clothes, so I didn't think about whether I had clothes or not. I had my yoga uniform, that's all I needed. But when I came back to Australia, I didn't want to be washing my clothes all the time. I wore stretchy pants and t-shirts for teaching yoga, and if I had 2 classes I would change morning to afternoon. And so my wardrobe was stuffed full of stretchy pants and t-shirts. But I reverted back to that childhood state of mind where I'd open up the wardrobe door and go, I haven't got any clothes to wear. And I'm thinking, what am I thinking about? There's so many clothes. Yes, but I haven't got any clothes to wear. You ever opened your wardrobe and gone, no, I don't feel like that. No, I don't feel like that. No, I don't feel like that. You know that one? So my go-to was when I go like that, I haven't got any clothes to wear. I thought, no, I've got to do something with this mindset. I'm over it. So I would think of my cat I grew up with, fluffy white chinchilla with emerald green eyes and black eyeliner and little pink nose and black eyeliner around the nose. Even if you're not a cat person, he was so sweet. You would see a picture of him and you'd go, oh, he's so cute. So I'd think of my cat, and that would bring up this loving feeling in me. I wouldn't focus on the cat, I'd focus on the loving feeling. I'd open up the wardrobe and I'd take some clothes and I'd put them on. And in 1 week, I stopped thinking I haven't got any clothes to wear. I started seeing how much was there and how much I didn't need. So I did a big cull. Yeah. So this is what Patanjali meant when he said, think the opposite. We need to hone in on the happy memories, but the feeling more than the memory. Yeah? Get into the feeling of it. Because in this way we will actually change the neuronal patterning in the brain. It's all about the brain. Everything's about the brain, ultimately. Yoga's about the brain. That's what we should call it, brain yoga, instead of beer or gin or vodka yoga. Brain yoga. Yoga is about the brain, keeping the brain healthy. And so, in ancient times, people understood a lot about the human psyche and the physical body. People understood in a different way to how we understand today. But nonetheless, they had that insight to know that by focusing on what is happy, what is positive, we keep the body, mind healthy. And we're able to express from our inner heart, from our true place of expression, not from where we're acting from conditioning, but from what we know is right. As an example, I chose to go and live in India and follow the path of yoga, and my grandmother on my father's side, so she's Hungarian, and when she heard I was going, ay, ay, ay. You're going to go and wear orange and shave your head. And I said, yes, I'll wear orange. And I didn't say anything about the head because I knew I was going to shave my head. She said, you'll never come back. I said, I will come back. And I did come back. It wasn't my choice. I got kicked out of India by the government, but anyway, that's another story. I listened to my inner calling. I was a teenager. I knew what I was going to be giving up, but I knew that this is what I was meant to be doing. And I said okay to that inner feeling, that inner knowing. And this is important that we do that. Intellectually, I understood what I was doing. And so the mind can react to that. You know, the mind can say, oh, well, you won't get any chocolate cake over there. I mean, I didn't think that, but I'm just, giving an example. I could have thought, oh, I won't get any chocolate cake. But is that a reason for me not to go? No. In here, I'm being honest with myself. That is not a reason. So what happens is the mind gets in the way. The ego, the intellect gets in the way of our inner knowing. Yoga of the inner hidden things is listening to that inner part of yourself and knowing that what you are doing and what you are saying is right, and being strong in that. No matter how difficult it is, whatever you're going to be doing. We all face hurdles in life, but we need to listen to our own inner self. People will give us ideas, like Hungarian grandmothers. Jewish Hungarian grandmothers. So, yoga of the hidden things, it's a very broad topic, and I've just sort of scratched it a little bit because we have different aspects to yoga. We can do the postures, the asana, we can do the breathing, the pranayama, we can do the meditation, we can do the yoga of service, karma yoga, where we are assisting other people in their situations in life. We are giving of our time, of our energy, of ourself to be of assistance, not to rescue. This is a yoga. But at the end of the day, all the yogas lead to understanding what is within us and what is holding us back from expressing innately, truly, in truth. Yeah. So it's quite warm in here. Is everyone feeling warm? Yeah. Maybe we'll put the air conditioning on for a little bit before someone passes out. Yeah? Got some water. You can drink some water. Excuse me, I'll just get the water. Do you need some water? Have you got water there?
I don't have water. I could get water anyway.
Is there another cup with some water? think the sound settles down after a little bit, doesn't it? Just because she does need some water. They're bringing you some water. Yes, it's coming, you're mistaken.
I have something. Thank you.
The practice that we're going to do is called Yoga Nidra. In Yoga Nidra, usually we lie down on the floor. You can sit in a chair, or you could sit with your back against the wall. If you think you're going to go to sleep, I would suggest doing that. In the Yoga Nidra, we relax the body as we do in any meditation. The beauty of lying on the floor is that if you do fall asleep, you have nowhere else to fall. But if you're not able to get to the floor, you can be in a chair, you can move your chair to close to the wall in case you think you're going to fall to the side. Yeah? Because when we relax and let go, especially this time of evening and with the busyness of life, we fall asleep. I call this power napping in Yoga Nidra. And sometimes you find you have a mini dream. And in this mini dream, you express something very important. Or you realize something important. Or at the end of the Yoga Nidra, when you're driving home, you realize something important. By having awareness of ourself and knowing that this realization is not something very small, it is something important. Sometimes when we have an experience or an idea, we think it's insignificant. But actually it's not. It can be something that is quite huge, really. And so the Yoga Nidra is a practice that can be used as stress relief and release, but it can be used as the process of awakening. So what we aim to do ultimately in the Yoga Nidra is to be able to step back from ourselves. What does that mean? To step back from the ego, the reactiveness within us. Yeah, someone says something to us we don't like and we think, whatever we think. So that reactiveness is the mind and the ego. And by becoming the observer of ourself and seeing our reaction, then we can actually say, well, what else could I say that would be useful, that would be healthy? Or maybe I just let it go and don't say anything. To be able to observe ourselves means we have more time to choose a better way of being, or a more productive behaviour, or a less controlling behaviour. There are so many behaviours that are controlling. Passive aggressive, you can rattle off all the names of all these controlling behaviours. But when we see what we're doing, we say, well, actually, that's not what I really wanted. What I really wanted to say is, I don't know. I'm feeling lonely, or I'm feeling vulnerable. But it takes courage to say these types of things. And we say the opposite. Has anyone ever asked you, how are you? You go, oh yes, I'm fine, and you're not. We do it all the time. We do it all the time because we think we're not allowed to say what we're feeling. People ask me, how am I, and I'm not feeling well. I go, I'm really feeling sick, but I'm good in myself, thank you. Yeah. Having the courage to say what you're really feeling, where you're not dumping it on the other person. When my kids were little, and kids always do things that push your buttons, and I might get angry about something or the other, I would say, I'm angry at the situation, I'm not angry at you. I'm feeling angry at the situation. And by saying that, expressing and letting it out, it would actually diffuse my anger. Yeah. Because I wasn't really angry at the kids, it was the situation that was occurring. And you know what it's like, the pressure of life, and you've got to do this, this and this, and then there's one more thing that happens, and it's like, we say in Australia, the too hard basket. Do you know what the too hard basket is? It's too hard, you're not coping with it. So, we're taught either verbally or by behaviours not to express. How many men here have been told as little boys, don't cry? Yeah? Little boys shouldn't cry. Or don't cry. You're a boy. Man up. What's that about? Why can't you cry? So the yoga of the hidden things is first of all about honesty. Being honest to yourself and acknowledging what it is you really want and expressing that. Finding the words. How are you going to say it? How are you going to achieve it? Without blaming someone else. Or without trying to rescue someone else, or without feeling that you're a victim of a circumstance. There are many ways to view situations, and those 3 ways are 3 ways in a million. They're not the only way. So, now the room's feeling a bit cooler, isn't it? More bearable. Alright, so for Yoga Nidra, if there's a mat there, use a mat. If there's not, lie on the floor. You've got blankets. Use a cushion under your head, under your knees for support of your lower back. If you can't lie on your back, you can lie on your side. Yes. So when you lie down, have your head up towards me. Please don't feel obliged to lie on the floor. You can sit in a chair if you need. If you can't hear me clearly, get a space up the front. Yeah.
Hands, you're operating this. I'm going to sit in the chair. Thank you.
else need more blankets? So head up towards me, you'll hear me better. Just a sec. So for the people in the back rows, Joni, can you hear me clearly? Yeah. Okay. And Shivani, you can hear me there?
I'm standing up.
Okay. And you can hear me clearly there? Come and take a blanket from here. Yeah. There's a couple of blankets there. Do you need another blanket?
No, it's just when you can we turn the air conditioning?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, we can.
So we can hear.
Yep. So the consensus is air conditioning off? Off. When you're lying on the floor, the lower back needs to rest easily, and cushions under the knees are good for that. Cousin Carl, somebody give Shivani's a cushion under her head and ask her about her lower back. Please be aware that as you lie, the back of the head will become tender. So you may need a cushion under the back of the head. The bolsters can be used for under the knees or under the head. And as you are lying for a period of time, you want to feel comfortable in your position now, so that you don't need to move, so that the body can be still and motionless. Having said that, if you do need to move during the practice, be aware of where your water bottle is in case you knock it over when you move. And if you have your mobile phone on and it rings, it will disturb people. So if you're not sure, please check that you have got your phone on silent or airplane mode. When you lie on your back, if you are uncomfortable, if you develop a cough, turn and lie on your side. So we have the feet a little bit apart and the arms comfortably away from the sides, either with the palms up or little finger side of the hand on the floor. And if you feel uncomfortable about lying on the back because your abdomen is exposed, then you need to have a cushion on the navel area or lower abdominal area. And this lightweight pressure can give a feeling of safety. Lift the chest, draw the shoulder blades closer and relax down again. Relaxing the lower jaw and the tongue behind the lower teeth. And feel that you can lie in this position for 15 minutes or so. As you're breathing out, allow the body to melt into the floor. Think of the body like butter melting in the heat. Bringing the awareness to the whole right arm, relaxing, letting go, fingers to the shoulder. And the left arm relaxing, letting go, fingers to the shoulder. Both of the arms relaxing. Right leg relaxing, hip to the toes, letting go. Left leg relaxing, hip to the toes, letting go. All the limbs relaxing. Torso front relaxing. Torso back relaxing. Inner organs relaxing. Throat and neck relaxing. Head and face relaxing. Whole body from the top of the head to the tips of the toes relaxing. And as you relax into the floor that supports you, feel supported. Know you are supported. Being aware of where you are lying. Create a mental image of the body on the floor in this room. Being aware of hearing sounds, your sense of hearing. There are different sounds, one may be predominant. Staying centered in yourself and know that these sounds are coming to your ears. The sound is moving through the air, coming to your ears. Be centered in yourself rather than going out to the sounds and their source. Know that you are hearing sound information. Awareness of sound information. And the next step in this process is to be able to witness yourself, observe yourself, being aware of sound. Like having an aerial view. Part of the mind steps back and watches objectively. If thoughts come to the mind, be aware. This is sound in the mind. Be centered and observe. as we continue, keep your mind directed towards my voice and the instructions, taking the mind to body parts as I name them. Mentally repeat the body part's name after me like an echo in the mind, with awareness first on the right, whole right hand, forearm, upper arm, shoulder, right side of the torso, thigh, lower leg, foot, whole right side of the body, awareness on the left, whole left hand, forearm, upper arm, shoulder, left side of the torso, thigh, lower leg, foot, whole left side of the body, both sides of the body simultaneously, whole limbs diagonally, right arm, left leg, left arm, right leg, left leg, right arm, right leg, left arm, all the limbs, spinal column, muscles of the skull, facial muscles, whole body from the top of the head to the tips of the toes. Awareness of the whole body from the top of the head to the tips of the toes. Body still, breath moving effortlessly. Feel the air flow in the nostrils as it flows up through the nostrils on inhalation, down through the nostrils on exhalation. Body breathing in, body breathing out. Observe this experience or be aware of it. And mentally count 7 breaths in and out, following the breath up and down the nostrils, starting at the count of 7 in, 7 out. Count backwards to 1. Leave the breath awareness and come to your sense of vision with the eyes closed. You are looking into the back of the eyelids and can still see. Then there is vision in the mind itself, like remembering a dream or a memory. And with this inner vision, either see or think about the senses that propel you, that drive you to fulfill the sensory experience. Through smell, you like to smell nice smells and avoid unpleasant. Seeking out nice tastes, flavours, avoiding that which is unpleasant. Looking at what you enjoy to look at, avoiding which is unpleasant. To feel with your skin pleasurable sensory experiences through the skin, tactile experiences. And to hear pleasant sounds. Life revolves around fulfilling these sensory experiences. And then you are driven to accumulate certain commodities. Be aware of what these things are for you, whether it's a bicycle, a car, a house. What are these commodities that you need in your life? Some things may be excessive. Every person is driven towards accumulation of commodities. The next drive is that of fulfilling the path in life that is useful and purposeful to you individually. What is that for you? We call this karma, the individual path that is right for us individually. Maybe you're uncertain, maybe you're still looking for this. And the last drive is to find freedom, liberation, moksha. It might be freedom from pain, physical, emotional, or mental pain. Internal freedom to be yourself. Be aware of how much you value achieving any form of freedom. What this looks like to you. Now come back to your body lying on the floor. Feel the stillness and the inner movement of the breath. Observe yourself. Know where you are lying. Have a mental image of the floor behind your feet, the wall behind your feet, on your right, behind your head, on your left, ceiling, floor. Know where you are in the room. And take a slow breath in and out. Start to move the fingers, toes, swallow, stretch. The practice is complete. When you're ready to sit, bend the knees, feet on the floor, roll to the right side. And take your time to come into a sitting position. If you've been sitting in a chair, you might just sit on the floor with your legs straight. We'll chant Om to finish. Om and peace mantra, Shanti, 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 Shanti. Follow your own sound up, moving from the throat, all through the sinuses, into the forehead. Ultimately, the sound culminates at the brow middle. Slowly inhaling. Peacefulness behind the sternum, feeling of inner harmony and peacefulness, the seat of your inner self in the form of light, like a flame, an etheric flame. And we gesture this feeling with the hands in prayer position, Pranam Mudra. Carry the inner feeling with you. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om Tat Sat.
So we had a look at the 4 objectives that drive us, in the Yoga Nidra.